Welcome to 99th Monkey Liberty News for Thursday, July 24th, 2014. A lot of what I'm going to be mentioning today is drawn from Alex Jones' show yesterday. He had a lot of callers that just had really interesting ideas, suggestions, and I'm going to highlight a few of those. One is this. A caller suggested that people listen to this. It's a Bill Still interview of Bill Binney. Bill Binney is an NSA whistleblower, and there are several parts to this interview, and I have not watched the whole thing yet, but this comes very highly recommended, and the subject is parallel construction. And a lot of what I'm mentioning today, it has to do with understanding what's going on on a deeper level, and I believe these videos can be very helpful with that. This is an InfoWars article, Sacramento Sheriff Confronted Over Stingray Surveillance. And we're all aware of this. The reason that I'm bringing this up is the fact that Sacramento Sheriff was confronted over this, and the idea, what happened, did make the local news. And a few days ago, I think I mentioned that there was a council meeting, or maybe it was some kind of a county meeting in Shasta County, in Redding, California, about chemtrails, and that also was mentioned on the local news. So some of these stories are beginning to break into actual, if not worldwide network news. The local affiliates are mentioning these kinds of issues. So I think that's a positive trend, and I believe that people are going to be more aware of what's going on, because of, there are just some people who won't believe something until they see it on television through a channel that they're used to watching. So I'm pleased that this is beginning to happen. This is some of the deeper understanding that I was referring to. Alex was talking yesterday about asymmetrical warfare, evil forces behind world government revealed. And I guess I personally had just a deeper realization, deeper understanding yesterday of how just the term asymmetrical warfare, that this really is warfare against us. The reason it's asymmetrical is because we're not fighting back. And the kinds of tactics, war tactics that are being used against us as Americans, as a country, are bringing so many illegals in. Alex was throwing around numbers yesterday that had not really hit me to a real great extent, just how much of an impact these kind of numbers can have on the country. He's talking about 100 million people coming in across the border within a few years. And I'd been thinking that, he was being kind of dramatic, trying to wake people up. But when I had that realization that 100 million people, our population is not, I think we have 300,000 people now, or 300 million people now. So 100 million people, that's a huge addition. And it's probably not only going to collapse financial structures, but it's going to be an incredible strain on infrastructure, on water supplies, healthcare, food supplies, and even roads. I mean, think about adding, 25% more people in every situation. It's not going to work. It's not practical. I mean, even if these people had the best of intentions, without having made plans for this, having strengthened the infrastructure, and as we know, the infrastructure in America has not only not been strengthened, but has not even been maintained. So this really is a recipe for disaster. Now I have a better understanding of why Alex has been so upset about this. And this clip, this about 5-minute clip, explains asymmetrical warfare and the evil intent behind what is being done. And George Soros is a name that was mentioned as Alex was discussing this yesterday. And I did a little meme on Facebook about George Soros. And I was just researching, wanted to make sure I could back up the meme, that it was really all true. And I did a search for the history of George Soros being a Nazi collaborator. And this is the story of how he was a Nazi collaborator. So he's one of the people that is powerfully behind this asymmetrical warfare to bring down America. And he was a Nazi at age 13. He started to work for the Nazis. So it's helpful to remember who it is that we're dealing with. They're ruthless, evil people. Another caller in to Alex's show yesterday mentioned this, which I had not heard of previously. Jurisdictionary, and here is a video. Jurisdictionary presents lawsuit self-help, and I've mentioned websites like 1215.org and other sites that are helpful to people who want to learn the law. And this is their website, jurisdictionary.com, free videos. And this is the caller, one of the callers who mentioned this yesterday. I think a couple callers mentioned this website. And they said that they had educated themselves as to the law. If you have some time and you're willing, it's all here, and you can do that as well. And at least one of the callers who mentioned this addressed this as a solution to what's going on in the country, that if enough people learn this and learn it well, not go off, half-cocked and shoot from the hip, but learn this well and then begin to use this information in order to call people in the government to task, that they are breaking the law, that they are not upholding the rule of law, and this is one way in which we can have restoration of our republic. And just a few days ago, I mentioned some Neil Keenan videos, and he put out another 2 videos just in the last couple days. And I believe these are very significant videos. He claims, and you believe Neil Keenan or not, he claims that that the cabal has enlisted the aid of the U.S. military, and that they are in, I think it was South Korea, trying to remove 240, I think, 1,000 metric tons of gold that's there, and he wanted to go public with this so that this move would be blocked, and in the hopes that this move would be blocked. And I'm hoping that it was blocked, and he said that This is either going to happen or not happen. If it happens, the cabal will have a lot of funds and will be free to continue to carry out their plan, at least for some time until they're arrested or whatever. But you know, it's pretty tough to arrest somebody that has those kind of funds, because how do you approach them militarily? How do you have a show of force that can overcome their show of force in order to enforce justice? So anyway, he said that if the cabal's not able to do this, their power will very quickly come to an end. And this video is in 2 parts, and I have the links for both parts here. And I want to focus a little bit about what can happen with the dollar at this point, because although it's great news for the world that that BRICS is funding a bank that's independent of the World Bank and the IMF, and it's great to have financial systems outside of tyranny. But unfortunately, the people of the U.S. are still, you know, we're going to be dependent on the dollar unless the Treasury notes really do come out and the republic is restored and there's a shift, and I believe that will happen at some point. But I'm not sure if it will happen before there is some kind of a collapse of the dollar. And InfoWars had an article today, Analysts Germany Secretly Planning to Join BRICS. And I think I've mentioned this, and Neil Keenan in those 2 videos mentions that not only Germany, but also France and even England want to get away from the dollar-based financial system. So it's very likely that there will be some kind of a crash of the dollar. Again, a lot of people believe that the Treasury notes will be released, and that will be helpful to the American people. Even if and as that happens, though, we are going to have to make some huge adjustments, because actually I was getting dressed this morning and just noticing in my clothing the tags that, you know, everything's made somewhere else. I admit I don't have a lot of clothing or even bedding, even household items that are made in America. I'm guessing that most of our books were printed in America, but there are not a whole lot of industries left in America. It's difficult to buy American, and you know, at some point maybe we'll all have 3D printers, and then virtually everything that we have will be made in America because it was made on our printer. But in the meantime, I think, you know, we still can grow food here, and hopefully a lot of people have developed their gardens. And you know, the Liberty Movement has been told for a few years now, grow gardens, know how to provide your own food, and hopefully at least some have taken that burden up and been growing at least some of their own food, so that we're somewhat prepared for a shift when we can't be so dependent on things from other countries. Because obviously if the dollar collapses, it's going to be very, very, very expensive for us to purchase things from other countries. And in some ways that could be good news, and I'm actually using that as my good news bit today. I have a couple of websites that highlight products that are made in the U.S. And of course, if we can start to grow hemp and use hemp in paper production, in textile production, we can certainly have made in U.S. clothing again, and Brown's gas makes it possible to have small and specific smelting facilities and rendering facilities. So hopefully those are industries that will also be able to get going again in the U.S. But if there's a collapse of the dollar, some of these prices may begin to actually look really good. And the prices at this website are not outrageous. You know, a blanket, $60. That might seem a little high, depending on what fabric it's made out of. The jeans aren't bad. $29.95, $28.95. I know you can find jeans cheaper than that, but it's not a huge sacrifice. If you scroll through here, you will find that you can purchase what you need, and the prices are not completely intolerable. So maybe we can begin to get used to buying American. And this is another website, madeinusa.org. This is more of a, this isn't, the other website actually has products for sale. This is more of an index, a reference for people who are looking for American-made products. This website can be helpful. Thank you for tuning in for today's 99th Monkey Liberty News. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, and enforce the Bill of Rights.